Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Molly Rowan Leach, and I'll be your host for this extraordinary chat within this amazing building with three founders of the KulturBanhof here in Leisnig. Really excited to be here with both of you, Chris and Ali. And I'm wondering if we might start out with a little bit about each of you. And of course, maybe we could make mention of the third founding member, Catherine, since she couldn't be here with us today. So would you like to start out by just letting people know a little bit about you? And then we'll go into the inception of this vision and its landing here in the way that it has. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
Yeah, my pleasure and honor.
Yeah. Would you like to start or should I start?
As you wish.
Okay, I'll start then.
Okay.
My name is Christoph Schoenbeck. I'm originally from a small village south of Munich in Bavaria. But my parents are from the States actually. So my mom is from Nebraska, my dad is from Illinois, from Chicago. And yeah, I basically grew up in Germany. And then after I finished high school, I was in many places, England, Czech Republic, and Japan, Australia before that. And yeah, my thing is mostly music. So I'm a musician, music teacher, and we'll probably talk more about what I do here later. I'm also a language teacher, mostly German now, but also English and a little bit of Japanese in the past. And exactly, I studied classical music and Japanese in England. And kind of random, but yeah, and so maybe that's enough for now. And over to you.
Ali.
Yeah, my name is Alireza Rismanchian. I come from Iran. I grew up there and studied my bachelor in architecture there from in Isfahan, the town, my hometown where I come from. And when I was 22 years old, I came to Germany to continue my studies in architecture. And then I started to work as an architect and yeah, everything then developed. I also learned music since I was a child by the violin. And so when I came to Germany, I also continued to search for people and small groups or orchestras to play with in order to play and also to find a community of people and friends, like a way of finding connections through music. And yeah, so I lived also in Germany, in Berlin and South Germany, Berlin again, and now landed here in Leisnig. And also through music, I got to know Catherine and Chris and also many other friends and got involved in different projects, which I'm very thankful for.
And of course, Catherine, who is the third founding member and co-creator of the vision together with the two of you, couldn't be with us today, but a few words about Catherine. She's a musician as well.
She's an amazing person.
She is. She's quite a musician. I saw her live with your band a few weeks ago out in the amphitheater here.
Exactly. She's in Galicia right now, Western Spain, for a fiddle festival. So she's on basically a tropical island, having fun and living the high life right now, with a couple of our friends who are also there organizing the festival and playing there. And exactly, so it's a shame that she's not here right now, but yeah, she'll be back in a couple of weeks, a couple of days actually.
And so we'll weave her spirit into this conversation, but I'm guessing that people would love to hear right now about the trio that you formed and what was the je ne sais quoi? What was the raison d'être, the reason for the coming together of the three of you? and tell the story about how you found this incredible train station.
Mhm. So Catherine, very interesting person and inspiring, and she is a musician, and she had she founded a group of musicians which were exchanging their home, the folklore music of the culture they are coming from or what they feel connected to. And this group or community as well, like one also like a orchestra. This project was in Tübingen in South Germany, and I was also living back at the time in South Germany, and I didn't have lots of contacts and connections. I was feeling quite isolated there, so I was searching for projects and orchestras to play with. And in 2016, someone, friend of a friend, like told me, "Oh, you should check out this project, and I think this is exactly what would fit for you." And so I found like I went to Catherine's project, and which Christoph was also leading the musical part, like was also as a musical leader. And so I immediately like fall in love with that. And since then, I participated regularly to like in Folklang to the weekly sessions. And afterwards, when I moved to Berlin, I was still traveling to Tübingen 2 times a year to play in the festivals, like 2 times per year, but like big festivals, and just to have a picture to imagine like what's the atmosphere. We were partly like for the festivals 120 people from 25 countries together on the stage and playing one song from every country who is present there, including a song like songs that I could teach to other people in the group and playing that all together. And the power of this project was so strong, and the feeling and the connection you feel and to the community, to the place you are, and just this sense of belonging in that moment and generally. So it changed my relationship to the music, and it became suddenly kind of very, very much vibrant in my life. And also it changed the direction from classical music to folklore, because there was so much culture and emotions behind it. And I could connect to other people through learning their folklore music. And so I was really like flashed by this whole thing in my life. And since then, I was wishing I started like to organize more such projects and camps like Ethno Germany together with Catherine and Chris, and also help a bit more with the festivals and to involve more. And I got our originally we were like 4 co-founders, and when I moved to Berlin, I got to know him. Ofer, also a great musician and engineer, very creative engineer. And so in Berlin, we were missing Folklang and this community, and something was missing there. We were still going to Tübingen to Folklang festivals and stuff, but we were dreaming to having a place which this project could go on and can have a home, and also that we can establish the power of this project in the society, so we can have a place that more people can share this feeling of belonging, and it has a place in the society, and it is not just a camp which is organized once or twice a year and then it is gone, but it is just like a place which is always there, and anyone and anytime you go there, you feel the spirit of what we experience in this 1 week camp. And so I was like talking to Ofer, hey, let's do something, and then also asking Catherine and Chris, hey, we dream of doing something with you. And in January 2020, it was the moment that we just started to search for locations, and everyone in their lives that we were at some point that we said, okay, let's do it. Because before that, Catherine had a daughter which was in the school, so it was not an option to move out of Tübingen. And for us also personally, it just never like matched until that point that everyone was at the point to say, yeah, why not? I'm open for it. Let's try. Do you think it works? Let's see, whatever. And we just started to search for places. I don't know if
And I love it. I love it. We're on location here and we have trains coming and going.
Yeah.
And in a little while, I'd love to talk about some of the metaphorical aspects of this vision that is now grounded in this building. But we're in the middle of the story of the birth, of finding the location and how important that is to really grounding in and inviting people to come to that feeling of belonging through music, right? So, but Chris, what would you like to add to that?
Exactly, I just want to add a couple of things, because Ali
Please.
mentioned it only in passing, just this, the idea of these ethno camps.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're spreading like wildfire. If you look online, you can find ethno Germany, of course, ethno England, ethno France, ethno Sweden. And so basically more and more countries are kind of becoming the home to this idea. And as you mentioned, it's usually like the standard format is 10 days, and musicians from all over the world come together, meet in one place, teach each other tunes from their country, traditional tunes, and or folk generally. It's a folk scene. And then at the end of the week, they put on a concert, and it's just usually a one-off, like just this one amazing concert, and then they disperse into the world and stay in contact, but this formation never happens again. And the thing that inspired Catherine to start her Folklang project in Tübingen was that a couple of years before that, one or two only, she was in Slovenia at the Ethno Hysteria festival, and it's also part of this. And exactly, and so her experience there, and yeah, was what gave her the idea of starting her own project. And when she got back to Tübingen after that, she would just sit in the local pub with her violin, and every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, she would start playing fiddle tunes, and then she would always say, okay, anybody who wants to join me, come along, bring your instrument, we'll play together, I'll teach you some tunes. And so it just had this snowball effect. And I think I somehow joined in the middle of that process where there were maybe 20 people. And exactly, and I was living in Prague, in Czech Republic at the time. And exactly, so I got to see just this raw energy at the beginning, just people still trying to figure out their instruments and figure out these new complicated rhythms, Bulgarian rhythms, for example. And exactly, and then I moved to Tübingen and became part of this. So I was the bassist and arranger. And yeah, and so, but it's just interesting to see how one thing inspires the next, or one person inspires the next. And so also from Folklang, if you go to Tübingen now, it's changed the city. Like you can still feel this impact that Folklang had on the city, and there's all these bands coming out of it, and all these other projects, and it's still, now it has a different name, but yeah, it's really changed that place, and it's also put Tübingen on the map. And so what we're doing here, the equivalent that we have is the Bahnhof Orchestra, so the train station orchestra. And we also meet just the first week of September, and it's a very intense format. It's only 5 days and then the concert. The idea here, or the difference here, is that we still have musicians coming from all over, about 30 to 40. But then in the evenings, we invite the locals to the rehearsal. And so then there's another 20 to 30 people. And then we teach them tunes, so we learn tunes with them that they can sing or play. There's a local drumming group that's part of the percussion section now. And then at the final concert, we have like the core team of the Bahnhof Orchestra, and then the second half is with the people of Leisnig, and then just the whole stage is full with, I guess, 60 to 70 people, and it's just this wall of faces and instruments, and it's absolutely amazing. Yeah.
So this is so amazing for me to come into this space and to be in an historic building. And I'd love to come back to the birth and maybe the synchronicity actually that brought you to this space. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that happened and why was it love at first sight? So sitting here in Leisnig at this gorgeous train station that was empty for many, many years, if not decades, right? And you stumbled upon it somehow and have grounded the projects here and a very extraordinary vision too around belonging, the bridge that music creates for that, and no less than in times where this is an urgent need for human beings, I believe. So let's talk about the building.
Yes.
How did you find it?
So we started just searching by searching in internet, and the first step was just like websites that you can search for properties and say big area, large areas, and small prices, and then just see all over Deutschland and Germany and see what comes up. And so we all like started like just to search, and we made a like Excel table or Google sheet that we entered all like our results, and then everyone could say like yes, no, maybe, green, red, yellow stuff. So we had a kind of like system to say, okay, what is out of question, but it was like brainstorming, put everything there, and then say, okay, what is out of question, what is interesting. And randomly through these searches, kind of also like I happened to see the ad for Bahnhof, and I put it in the list, but it was not matching to our criteria that we said we are looking for. So we were actually looking for a big place in nature, so we can have like huge camps, and we are quite like isolated because of the music and volume, so we don't disturb anyone, and we can play day and night, and it was an important criteria. And also we didn't want to have like cars and streets and stuff next to us, so quiet place in nature. And so, but yeah, I somehow like as an architect, the building was like gorgeous in the pictures and interesting, and I just put it there, but it was never like discussed on the list because of the train station. And until we started our first tour, so we selected the most interesting ones, which were close to each other in this region, like in the radius of 1 hour, maybe from here. And the day before we had the tour, the person responsible for here, Makla, the
the contact person for when you want to buy the property agent or something.
The real estate
agent.
The
real estate agent. She called me and said, you said you wrote me an email 2 months or a month ago or whatever, and I was talking to the mayor yesterday, and he dreams of having a cultural center there, and she sent me a picture with a flügel, with a royal piano,
a grand piano,
piano in this like totally ruined, destroyed space.
The reception hall.
The reception hall. with this grand piano there, and it was a very dramatic picture. And we checked, and it was kind of, we could connect the properties we wanted to visit, and we could kind of fit Leisnig in the middle. And we said, okay, it doesn't bother, just let's get more information. And although we know it doesn't come in question, but we can sleep a night there and then continue next day to the other location, and it's a nice route. So, and let's talk to this woman, and this agency is interesting, and let's see. So we did it. And
Okay, and so the day that you drive up, the first time that you've ever seen the building,
Yeah, it was actually the night that we drove up.
the night, okay.
you wanna
Yeah, so exactly. So the night that we drove up, we came into town on the first
By train?
by car.
By car,
By
okay.
car. And my first reaction was when we got out, we were at the square, and actually no, that was afterwards. Never mind. When we got to the station, it was just in the middle of the night. I think it was Valentine's Day, actually.
Yes, that's true.
Valentine's
wow.
Day, so it's
Okay.
even symbolic.
How appropriate.
And yeah, and it was really cold and dark, and we just parked the car, and the three of them immediately found some open window or door and kind of broke in to the train station. And I was too nervous to go inside because, guys, where are you going? So I was just walking around the building and just checking out from the outside, but I could hear that probably Ofer found the piano and he started playing. And exactly, and so their impression started earlier than mine. They were already inside and felt this amazing space. But then the next day, we officially got the tour with the real estate agent, and yeah, it was amazing. Like I was trying to just stay kind of rational and go like, okay, like we don't have to decide yet, but it looks pretty cool. And the main thing that was so interesting for me, or for us maybe, is just that it has all different types of rooms. So it's got small rooms, medium-sized rooms, large rooms, halls, and just every single space that you find here is somehow interesting.
Offices, flats, like
Exactly.
sleep in, and offices to work.
Exactly, because I mean, this building is literally huge. I don't know how many rooms we have. So
maybe 70.
70 rooms, including a basement with different rooms there, including gardens outside on either side, and exactly. And so the reason that the building was being sold at all was because it was just left for 20 years to fall apart, because in the year 2001, I think, there was a fire, and so everything that was happening here had to stop. Until that point, there were families living here in the apartments on either side. There was a restaurant, there were people, I guess, selling tickets still, and then after that it was just boarded up. And nobody felt like doing anything with it, or nobody really started. And it just changed hands a couple of times. The train companies sold it to the city sold it to some person speculating on prices going up, that person sold it to another person, and then we bought it from them. But exactly, but the building just offers everything, like a space for everything that we want to do, and it gives us more ideas, because I think also anybody who comes here just wants to go, wow, okay, I could do a yoga retreat here, I could do a festival here, and or yeah, exactly, a sauna here, a beer garden here, and so just like the ideas,
A conference. It's elegant inside, and there's a beauty that you're restoring, bringing back, that because of the fact that you're not, from what I can tell, your intention as an architect, Ali, and intentionally keeping the building in its original structure. For example, there's skylights that you've put back in exactly where they were before, in the original building. And I think that it's really important for people to know that this is a restoration project that's in motion with the best of intentions. Do you want to speak, Ali, a little bit more to that as far as from an architect's lens?
Yeah. I kind of like start from the first site, the first time we saw the building, and I think it is quite similar. Like it was like we were falling in love with this building, and I think like similar to having a crush, it had a lot to do with imagination. Like we see this place, and we were like immediately like imagining, wow, here could be our dance room, and we're like seeing in front of us like this room with like this parquet floor, covered with dust and stones and glass and everything, but we were imagining this room like having a dancing session, and also like the entrance hall with this historical tiles, and we just imagined, wow, imagine we open the doors, we open the windows, people go through, and like in every room we were like imagining what it can be. And we were projecting our imagination in this building. And the good thing about buildings is that you can implement that if you want to. And the other places we saw, this imagination was not there, or was not so strong, that you clearly see, wow, this can be like this, and you see it in front of you. And also like part of this imagination was like to bring the original how you say, like glorious glory, like to like this original glory back to the building. So
Was it the Art Deco period that this was built originally, or
neoclassical?
Uh-huh.
So it was 1868, which it was finished, and the rail line here was open. And yeah, so it is like it's like you see an abandoned, because it is kind of similar to a small castle, I would say, also like from the architecture type. And so it is like you see an abandoned, valuable small castle or place, and you just dream of, wow, it can be so glorious and shiny again, and just to be alive. And this, like this passion to bring life here again, and to save this building, and to bring it back also, its original meaning and original soul, which had, and which is a train station, which is a place for people to meet, to come and to go. And that's also why the first moment we were here, we said that this reception hall has to open again. People has to go through this building again to enter the train. It doesn't make sense that people like go around the building. So the building was built to make it easy for people to take the train, and now it is only on the way because people has to go around it. And so just like this dream of give it its original meaning, and also the meaning it had for the city, for the community here. And you could see it was like clear that there was 20 years of frustration that the train station is closed, doesn't work, is falling apart, no one take care of it. And it was a place for vandalism, and not a safe, nice place. Also the gardens, dark, full of rubbish, and spooky kind of place. And it is quite different now.
It is very much different now, and thank you so much. That's such a beautiful description, and in-depth insight for people into the historical and linear facts of this space and what it represents. It's so beautifully put, Ali. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, I'm wondering if we could ask you about the amphitheater and the structure on that note, that where Ali left off. There is a gorgeous musical stage and amphitheater beer garden, like a mini forest for people to come and gather and listen to music from all over the world. This has been happening now for some years. So we're talking about a beautiful vision that is actually in motion right now and playing itself out. So would you mind, Chris, sharing with us a little bit more about how that amphitheater space came together? And
Yeah.
of course, there's pictures of it on the website, which
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the garden has gone through a lot of changes in the past 5 summers. It's the 5th one now. When we arrived, it was just overgrown. There's grass and wild bushes and trees everywhere. And then once we cut that all away, then there was actually no real grass or anything to speak of. It was just dusty, and when it rained, it was muddy. So that was the first summer. I remember dust and broken glass everywhere, and garbage just coming up every time it rains. All the garbage that was buried there was just brought to the top. The second summer, we managed to plant grass, and it kind of grew, but because it didn't have enough time to grow, people just walked all over it, and there were patches of dust and mud still. And so then in the third summer, I think, was also still grass. It was just
every year
everything
it's
was
better and
yeah.
nicer. And
Yeah,
so
but at some point we got out there and we said, okay, we have to do something, because it's not nice to walk around in this in front of the stage, especially if people are dancing, and it's yeah. So then we started with the idea of having like some kind of dance floor, and so people can dance, and so maybe concrete or stones. But then the problem was that if people are dancing in front of the stage, the people sitting behind that don't see the stage. So then we had the idea of lowering the platform, and then Ali had the idea, or Catherine, I'm not sure, probably Ali, of having kind of an amphitheater in front of the building.
yeah.
Exactly. It's a little bit difficult to describe, but the stage is on the same, it's still on ground level, and the amphitheater is in the ground. And there's also a tent area across from the stage where people can sit. And the main idea is that no matter where you are in the garden, you can see the stage. But as a result, interesting things have happened, just that when you're walking out of the building, you're actually on the same level as the musicians. So it's kind of something that people have never really experienced before. Like you kind of feel like you're on stage, and the stage kind of blends into the rest of the garden. Exactly.
It has a wonderful feel as a participant, observer, attendee of one of the outdoor concerts recently here. It was extraordinary to be in like the little forest in this lovely seating area and to still feel very involved in the music that was occurring on the stage. So the acoustics and the way that it's set up is very harmonic in and of itself and intentional, which, like you said, it feels like it really pulls people in to that connection, which is one of the things that excites me so much about your vision and what you're doing with the actual projects and the music itself, that it pulls people in. It's a bridge in the structures as well as the, of course, intentions and activities that you're offering. Did you, either of you, want to say a little bit more about the depth of what you've both touched on around the soul of these projects and how important it is, maybe even more so and urgent in this time, to offer spaces of belonging, and how music is such an extraordinary medium for that?
I think when we see like in the last years, it was clear and always, but also like in the current time right now, we are talking here in everywhere in the world and also in Europe. I think it's more clear than any time that we we need more than ever to bring people together from no matter from where and how you think and where you come from, which generation. We need to understand each other. We need to talk to each other. We need to have the dialogue. And music, in our experience as well, like it is so fascinating to see how with music, like you just connect people without knowing nothing else is important, where the person does comes from, and you don't even have to find an icebreaker. Like you start playing music and you have a connection through it, and then when you go to talking and getting to know each other, then you already have a base, have a common base, and this makes a huge difference. And also as a non-musician, it's people come and people directly feel emotions. So we connect first in emotional level before we go to the mental or rational level. And also it is something, especially folklore music, it is something which is very easy, like very touchable, and gives easy access to the emotions. So even like folklore music from somewhere else, Gabon or Iran or whatever, for everyone in the world, it is easy to feel, to understand, and to feel the emotions and to connect with. And it offers a perfect base for a perfect common ground. So to have a deeper level of communication and dialogue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exactly. Also, the time when I came to Tübingen, it was the time of the war in Syria and in Afghanistan and Iraq. And so, of course, a lot of refugees were in Tübingen, and in Germany at that time, and with every continuing war, it's the same thing. It's always like, okay, the refugees come and they're treated like refugees, and they're put in this category, and it's like, oh, let's be nice to the refugees, and it's very kind of I don't know, rigid, and it's kind of unnatural, and the
compartmentalizing.
Yeah, and it's no real connection. It's like, oh, I'm going to say hello because you are the refugee.
Yeah.
What is it like to be a refugee? And it was just, and the nice thing about making music with these people, or with anybody, is that you don't have to talk. And I mean, you can talk afterwards or when the time comes, but you instantly are connected just through music. And so, and I always say that these connections are actually a side product. It's like, it's not why we're doing it. Or me personally, if I speak for myself, I'm just really doing it for the music, because music is inspiring to me, and it makes me feel all these amazing feelings. And yes, I connect somehow to other people, but it's just, main thing is the music. But then as a side product, then you kind of wake up while you're playing music, and you're like, whoa, something amazing is happening here. And then you instantly are part of this group with these people. It's a different, it's like a bigger group, that a bigger category. So it's not just me, the German, or whatever I am, and you, or whatever you are, but it's like, we're making music together. And exactly, it's this shared experience. And yeah, it's really easy just for anybody, even people standing around who aren't making the music. They can clap, they can sing, they can move, they can feel it. And so it kind of absorbs everybody into this thing, and kind of breaks down these artificial barriers.
But also like there is also, I think, a reason you do it, like mainly we all for music in the first place, but also there is a reason probably you are not focusing all your energy in a professional jazz band or only music project. With some people you're professional enough to do like high class musical projects. So I think it is also like playing still an important role,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Like, I mean, just my experience with classical music is that it's a very difficult group to get into. You have to prove your worth. You have to be the best. You can't make any mistakes. I mean, nothing against classical music and everything that can be. It's an amazing space, but just as a human that experiences something, it always feels like, oh, they're so amazing and I can't get in there.
Pedestalizing a bit.
Yeah, yeah, and so this sense of connection. I'm oversimplifying, of course, but with jazz, it's a kind of similar thing. It's really like about being faster, being more clever. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but there is this kind of like, oh wow, I will never be able to do that. Whereas with folk music, it has all sorts of levels. Yes, there is really super complex Serbian technique and all that. But even at a lower level, there are things that anybody can understand and clap along with and feel and dance to, and exactly. And so yeah, it's more open kind of. I feel like yeah, and that's what's so attractive for me. Like exactly, yeah. And when I discovered this world of ethno music, especially just the ethno format, it's actually so clever because it's kind of like this open source thing. It's like I can go somewhere, I can teach a tune from my country. I don't have to be an expert. I just show them what I know. Like maybe I'm doing it wrong, maybe I have some wrong notes or I don't understand something, but like I just do it the way I know it. And then it becomes this thing, and everybody learns this tune and can play it together. And yeah, and it's just something that I don't see happening anywhere else. And it's just this, it's like this parallel universe of musicians that you don't really see in the normal world. Like they're not represented anywhere. You don't see them on television, or you really have to look for them or know where to look to see that it's actually this big movement. And it's really, I would say, yeah, it's really inclusive. Yeah.
Just like a train station, people are coming, they're going, they're meeting, they're seeing people for the first time in years, and the feeling that that brings. The liminal space of a train station is very interesting from many perspectives, I think. Of course, many writers, Bohumil Grabel in Czech literature, closely watched trains. I mean, there's definitely a metaphor here of something extraordinary. And I'm wondering if you have, if I were to ask you, like, what is like the distillation of the reason for being that really drives you, even, you know, though this can be such a giant project, and it is a giant project, but you were courageous enough and visionary enough to land this. And it is one of the most unique cultural centers in the world for that reason. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge you both and Catherine for your commitment through all of that you have done so far and what you're offering, and just come back for a moment again to your own personal driver, like the metaphorical aspect that you're offering. What if it were one or two words? Would it be belonging? Would it be imagination, transformation of cultures? That's more than one word, of course, but
So we went through, at some point, we went through this process of find your why.
yeah.
And for every one of us, it was a long, partly interesting and partly painful process to go through it, because we feel also all the pain which which drives you to your values, like so it's all connected together where it comes from. And it was very interesting also to see we have maybe like slightly like different whys why we do this, but they complete each other. So that was important also to know what's for every person the why, and that they don't contradict each other but complete each other. And for me, it was, as you also mentioned, belonging, a space of belonging. And it is, I speak for myself, but I think also for all of us, it's an issue. So, and even regardless of immigration, which of course also plays an important role, but also the reason behind the immigration is also that maybe I also didn't feel really belonging to the place I was. So that's why you seek, you continue, and you want to like explore the world. And behind all that, it at some point find or create a place you feel belong to. And for me, this experience was, after I went through this process, it was clear, okay, I know this feeling as a child to the house of my grandma. Lovely person, like full of love and giving, and the door, a big, beautiful house, beautiful garden, doors open to everyone, and it was a place for big festivities where all the families and neighbors and everyone meet, and everyone could come. Like when the woman from neighbor house was sad or had trouble, she would just come and talk to her and cry and whatever, and we could also celebrate there. And so at some point I realized I am searching for this place who offers this sense of belonging and being welcome, and just open to, you can be there, you can meet other people, you can communicate, you don't have to. And it is just this heterotopia, maybe what Michel Foucault says, that has its own atmosphere, has its own Regeln, rules, and but it is no rule, it is just unwritten rules that people feel it. And you know, when you are here, you feel different, you can't be different or the way you are, and different than other places of society.
And that is definitely a felt sense here, that there's an acceptance of identities, cultural backgrounds. Everyone coming in is themselves, and that is perfect. And that's really felt here. And it's also something that you've stated in your values on the website, of course, but we can state values and say that it's a safe haven for expression and for acceptance and belonging. But there's also that feeling that you get of knowing that that's true. And that is here, true.
Yeah.
And in a time such as ours, in our world, I can't think of a better space than something like this, for all the reasons, for people to feel like they've returned to a place that they can be who they are and know that they belong for who they are, and everything that entails. And that the music feels to me, and the building is reminding us of that space of beingness, that uniqueness and connection with one another is what makes life so beautiful.
Definitely. And I think it's important also to mention that I think we need more places which are nothing, which are not defined. So, and also like we don't define this place as a safe space or as, and this freedom, like this creates lots of possibilities that everything is happening. And yeah, so, and we see it also in the architecture, like Temple of Babel, just a huge field of nothing, and then it makes everything possible to happen there. And this like openness is also something is important to us, like not defining ourselves in a box or in a drawer.
Thank you. Yes.
Stick to that.
If I'm hearing you correctly, what you're sharing is actually a beautiful point about phrases that are being coined and kind of tossed out into the ether in communities around safe spaces. If I'm hearing you correctly, and what you're saying is that it's important for it to be undefined, like you said with the Foucault quote, the undefinition is the freedom.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And safe space for us is a place that people feel safe, not a space that we claim it as a safe space. So it is something we cannot define.
Yeah.
We can just define, we can just like do as good as we can to offer like a space which is comfortable.
Create the container.
Yeah, and then someone, maybe it's like the elephant in the room. For someone, it's the safe space, and for someone, it's the social space. And for an older person, it's just place that to come in the evening and drink his wine or tea. And so, and to
enjoy extraordinary cuisine, by the way, as well.
Exactly.
The KulturBanhof also has a gastro, which is overseen by Ibrahim, the lead chef, and it's extraordinary. It also reflects a cultural flair of cuisine that matches the incoming various bands from around the world. So it's really something that you must experience. So I'd love to.
The why of Chris, right?
Yeah, exactly. The why of Chris.
I talk too much, so I should take care.
Yeah, that's fine.
Water.
Yeah, so exactly. So in that week or the weeks where we were exploring our whys, I realized it was also just looking at the high points and low points in your life and seeing what was happening and why it came about. And so focusing on the high points in my life, it was always either connected to being in nature or a musical experience. And so in both, I'm getting goosebumps. This is always an indication of something true. In both cases, it's a sense of being one with what's happening around me. So being in the mountains and just having this sense of like everything is vast and I'm part of it, and and just being part of something. And so yes, I know I never use the word belonging, but but for me the way it's felt is just that I dissolve. Also when I'm playing music, ideally in a jam where I don't know what will happen next. It's not planned and it's just reacting to what comes. That's my favorite state of being. And so I just close my eyes and I kind of disappear and I am part of it and I can influence it, but I don't know, I don't have control over it. I don't know what will happen next. And and so that, and then kind of the low points of life are always basically the opposite: being alone, being separate, losing something, not having something that you want or need. And so with this idea, we came up with the phrase for the station, kind of encapsulating it. The station is a welcoming place for people to connect and create. Yeah, so just synthesizing it into one phrase. But of course, I mean, it's more than just those words. I also like to say now that I'm inspired by the fictional character Pippi Longstocking, because I watched that when I was a child, and I only now realize what kind of impact it had on my life. That it's just amazing. Like as a kid, ideally you're just in this dream world where like things are full of surprises and you don't know what will happen next, and every day is an adventure. And then to see this girl who has this house and she's living with a pony and a monkey and just having all these crazy adventures and nobody can tell her what to do and she's just free. I kind of have the feeling here that the sense of freedom that it's not defined. There are no rules. If we want to change something, we can. We can also change it back. We can try something, and it's this. Of course, we're still in the process, but I'm enjoying this absolute sense of things just floating around, and we are just part of what's happening here.
And also, when you were saying it, I thought it's so interesting that almost every child would would imagine his or her future like this, full of surprises and free and like Pippi Langstrumpf. But when we got with 30, the ideal life we wish for ourselves is like this regular life full of safety. I want to have to do every day the same and regular salary. And I thought it is so interesting that this shift and when and how this shift happens, that as with the life we wish for or imagine and get inspired by as child and adult gets so, in many cases, so different than each other. And I think this is kind of our going back to our childhood dream and creating that world, but also the challenges of fitting it into the adult world with all the challenges like finances and all the serious bureaucracy and everything, regulations, and bringing these two worlds together and check if it is still possible.
That is such an important point, and we've touched on it a little bit too in the last few days together. But what would you say to people, no matter their age, as far as the importance of not giving up, the importance of the imagination having power? Like Einstein, was a huge proponent of the power of our imagination, the power of the ability to dream something into a grounded vision, which is what you're doing here. But the point that you made about bringing that dream into practical reality, what would you say to people as far as, creative people who are maybe musicians themselves or who have a passion about something and yet feel the constriction of the adult world in our world in general? It's very real. So
it's very real. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's many different directions I could go in. So first of all, just generally, I think a year and a half ago, there actually was a moment where things were looking not so great, and we actually had it on on the flip side, continue or quit, and those. Yeah, it was a big question at the time, of course. But for me, it was just clear that, hey, never quit. We're going to do this, just because there's nothing like this. It's like the last flower of its kind. But you just have to keep it going, and who knows, maybe there'll be more flowers of that kind. But if we stop this, then I don't know first of all, I don't know what else I would do with my life. Like, for me, this project, everything that's happened here has just been the most amazing thing that I can imagine for my life. And I'm grateful to be part of it. So that's about not quitting what you have, even if things are difficult. And in terms of maybe not having yet what you want, like a musician who, like, for me also, I quit music many times in my life. I just started with classical music and thought like, oh, okay, I studied this, but I don't really fit in and it's not really mine. And this is also difficult. Jazz is also, yeah, maybe unattainable because I got into it too late. But there are other options. So maybe depending is very broad, but a change of scenery, just getting out of your house, getting out of your town, going to a different country, experiencing something completely random. There's always a way out. And if you're open for new ideas, and if you're open to yourself, not defining who you are, what you can do, what you can't do. I think that's the way out. Like not saying because I used to be a piano player, and then that was, and I started playing the double bass when I was nearly 30, and now I say I'm a bass player, but that's not it either. But it's just being open to whatever you can be and what can come next, and not blocking possibilities.
I have a kind of also like a different perspective about like quitting, like this fact of like continue quitting. I think that's not like, at least for me, after we had like periods of seriously like thinking and also like having our concerns of how shall it continue and how we make it and so what right now, after at some point I realized it like relaxes me, is that it is not that, like, it's not the real question maybe to quit or not to quit. What is more important is to start something. So I think, and every quit will be probably also start of something else. And but what is really more important, that we all have wishes deep inside of us. How do we want to live? How do I want to live? What do I want to do? What do I want to experience? And we were so many angst, fears that prevents us from doing that. And that is, I think, the most important thing, to start doing stuff, to start trying it out. And if it doesn't work, then you quit at some point because you want to, because it is not your thing, which is also important. Every now and then in the middle of the way, check, is it really like the mountain I want to climb? That's like a story. But sometimes you just join a group and start to climb the mountain, and you're like in the middle and say, yeah, yours, I'm strong, I have to finish it, I have to climb. But at some point it's good to see, wow, there's a risk that I fall down and I die and stuff. Is it so valuable for me? Is it really my wish to climb up there, and does it worth it? And if you quit, and you will start something different, and it is like you will live here like in Leisnig maybe for a month or something, and when you go somewhere else, it is not like you quit Leisnig and your experience in Leisnig means nothing. If you quit, you still have your experience, you experienced it, and you take this experience with you to whatever you do next. And so it is for me like traveling to different places and different activities and experiencing in our universe, in our world. And at some point then this is something else, and it's okay if this is not the time or condition and you feel like going forward. The most important thing is you know it is going forward. It is not a step backward, and you know why you are doing it. So a conscious decision of quit or continue or start something else or whatever.
Thank you both so much for those extraordinary answers. Really, I'm honored to hear your stories, and I know that the people that are listening in and tuning in on the video are probably feeling the same, I'm guessing. We're coming towards conclusion today, but one of the things that's really important, I believe, is to talk about what next and your vision. If you'd like to briefly just say what are your hopes for KulturBanhof in the next year, 2 years? What are you dreaming of? that it's in motion now. It's becoming something very real and has been, and it's about to take a next jump of exposure, of even further interest of funding and support from beyond the Leisnig region, so that this unique building, this beautiful space, the intentions around it, the music can flourish. So tell us a bit, if you would.
My biggest wish is that we can make it to renovate and rehabilitate this place and fill it with activities with the least financial pressure which is possible, and not to fall into this pressure of paying rates and interests back to the bank and stuff. And so we are free, like we are financially so successful and also so free from mortgages and stuff, that this place can flourish culturally and full of music and full of interesting activities. And we can also put our focus and energies to what means for us, and it is like the content of what happens here, and not like making money enough to pay our staff and pay back our mortgages and pay the renovation stuff. So this is my biggest wish, is that we can really like focus on what means to us, and not being buried under the pressure of this adult world with all financials and bureaucratic and stuff. Of course, it has to be fed and it has to work, but so we get so successful in this mean and get so much support that we have the least pressure possible.
And this will happen. I'm confident of it. I mean, I think it's very important to state it this way for the world to hear this, so that the people that are tuning in that might be interested in investment, in a significant donation, recurring donations, can do so right now, and in ways that work for them, that will support this very real goal to have it be fluid and have it be co-owned by the world, really, as a very unique cultural center. And as far as I know, which maybe there's something similar out in the world such as this, but it really does seem like one of the most unique spaces, given that it's an active train station still. There's trains coming and going, and there's concerts here. There's opportunities for all sorts of different cultural activities and events. You can come and host an event here. You can rent spaces. You can become a music teacher here, rent a hall. You can do so many things with the space. So there's multiple ways to engage, and you can find out more about that on the website, which is, want to speak to that?
Exactly,
The website.
The website address.
Yeah.
It's Bahnhof. I think probably it will be best to write it, but BAHNHOF minus LEISNIG dot VE.
And we'll have
I've
it,
never said
in the, we'll have it right underneath, so
Yeah, exactly.
don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. And also the website is also a work in progress. It's also a construction site, but it's getting better from day to day.
Well, and it has an extraordinary catalog of archival photos too. So if you're curious about the visuals of and the history and perspectives from that lens, there's a wonderful gallery that you've created on the website, and really appreciating that as well. So as far as financial support for incredibly urgent and important projects like this, you've already gained a lot of exposure. It's not that you're starting from ground zero. You have yet, though, much more needed from people stepping up from private foundations, people who could invest millions recurring over years, right? And it's deserving of that. This type of project is deserving of that, but certainly wanting to honor those who have already stepped up. And at any level, people who come to the concerts have the opportunity to put a little something in the donation box. There's many ways, like I've already said, but did you want to speak to your vision, Chris, of the next year or two, and anything to add with what Ali had said?
Yeah, just also because the original idea was that this is a place for music, and we had the idea that we would be playing every day and just making music with our guests. And the reality is that that almost never happens because we're always busy doing other things to keep the whole project going. So my wish is that we actually will at some point reach the point where we can really focus on the music, and because that's actually what we're really good at. And so there the sky's the limit. If we can actually just let that grow for a while, then who knows what will happen next. I'm open for everything, but yeah, it'll be a beautiful thing when that happens.
And again, just to reiterate, Ali is an architect, very well versed in all things architectural for the restoration end of things. So there's many ways for people to invest and engage the project, which is lovely.
Yeah. And also, if, for example, you're organizers and project owners, here we have a good place for retreats and workshops and camps, and it will enrich the place from the content. So we would love to have like so various as possible the content here, which happens, and also it supports us financially as well. So you are very welcome to have your events and or like retreats and camps here.
Lovely. So in conclusion, just as a way of tying this amazingly rich conversation towards a concluding point, is there something else that you would like to add, just to share with the world a little bit of something about where you're at right now and what you're grateful for in what you've seen in the evolution of this?
I wish that we have lots of more of these points on the maps. So I think we are like matches, like small pieces of match, like walking around, and somewhere there's a flame or fire, then we get fired and we go and pass it by to the next match, or if there is a pile of wood and it gets fired, and to see fire as something positive. And I think I wish that we have lots of these kind of places, hotspots in everywhere, and then we connect to each other, and it will like all change a lot in our lives. And so, and also if we know these kind of places, support them. And yeah, also we are happy people contact us and have ideas and support us and follow us how it continues. And yeah, one of the amazing things, surprises, for example, that which happens in Bahnhof Life is that we got to know you, you visited us, and this conversation happens. And these are examples why this is nice to experience this place and this life. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much for your time today. Christoph, just...
I would also say I'm thankful for being part of this in the microcosm, but also in the macrocosm, and being part of what happens on this planet and generally. And I'm just grateful for all the people that we're connected to now. Compared to my life before, I was very just on my own. And through this project, I just have to, I can be in contact with all these amazing people, whether it's the local electrician who makes it possible that we have light and electricity, or people donating these chairs or these carpets or fixing things for us, or just yeah, on all levels, being connected to these amazing people that make this project possible. Yeah, in town and from around the world. And exactly, yeah, I'm grateful for being part of this.
So for more information, thank you so much, Chris and Ali, again, for this extraordinarily rich conversation. Hopefully you've felt the same and have enjoyed this as much as I have in listening and in being reflected back the importance of brave acts of lighting a match in a world that is dark, that is craving connection and belonging and creativity. And on that note, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we will see you in the future, near future. Look to the chat below for the website details for more about KulturBanhof Leisnig. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.